spud and radiance, then we're looking at the other two images in the Akhenaten stela. So we have the entire Obama family coded into this stela of Akhenaten. Maybe we should look at the video.
Let's watch that video. We've been building up to this video. Let's do it. Well, they are remarkably similar.
Isn't that odd?
That is unbelievably similar. What are the chances of that, do you think?
Well, let's throw in that one other image of genetic mutation of mummies. Do you see that still shot?
I don't know.
It should be the next one. There we go. Well, now, as an ancient astronaut researcher, I've known all my life that there is a special property to mummification that saves a viable cell, a cell proper for cloning. Now, they even just came out on History Channel explaining how they could clone mummies and how they would maybe clone cryogenically frozen people if the world ever ended. It was the days after people. Well, so knowing this and knowing that Lenin is rotting in Red Square at this moment because we cannot mummify.
Okay, I think we're done with that image.
Well, that was the whole point there, was that they have cloned.
There is viable DNA in Egyptian mummies.
They absolutely cloned a 2,400-year-old mummy.
Well, we don't know that.
No, that's what that news article stated. 1985, they cloned a 2,400-year-old mummy.
You mean they cloned its DNA? They didn't make it a human being?
Yeah, they cloned the DNA, right.
They just replicated its DNA, didn't
right.
they, with, what's that called, that process where they reproduce the DNA?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the news article said, you know, they cloned a mummy.
Okay.
So it is absolutely viable.
Let's cut to the chase then, yes. Here, Freeman. What you're saying is then, I mean, someone's got to say it, you're saying that Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, and the two girls are all cloned ancient Egyptians.
Absolutely. And you want the kicker?
Give me the kicker.
Now, I told you that this whole thing was fomenting a space war using an asteroid. Well, and I told you that the god was a 10 and their Satan was Apophis. Mm-hmm. Well, show the news article as to which asteroid we're worried about. March 2nd of this year, an asteroid nearly hit our planet. It came between the Earth and the Moon, just as I had predicted months before on my radio show. An asteroid came on March 2nd. They did not see it coming 3 days before it almost hit the planet. But they said, well, this wasn't the one we're worried about. The one we're worried about is called Apophis. And it comes from a group of near-Earth asteroids known as the A10.
So far tonight, Freeman, you've predicted the Third World War next month, and that Earth is going to be hit by an asteroid, or that it's going to be a near miss?
It actually comes on Friday the 13th, 2029, and they're trying to figure out right now how to stop it.
So we'll all be at war anyway, won't we?
Yeah, well...
Well, is it going to last that long, from 2009 to 2029?
It's all an excuse. It's all an excuse to get the space war going. Now, Wernher von Braun says that what we're doing is fighting extraterrestrials and that they are not malevolent. So he says that the Earthlings are actually fighting the good aliens from coming here and rescuing humanity, is basically what Wernher von Braun's saying.
You mean what he did say?
Yeah, what he did say.
Unless he's been cloned as well.
Channeling, yeah, exactly.
Or channeling. So I can't imagine that any world war in the 21st century is going to last 20 years. So is it going to be a short, sharp shock?
Yeah, what it is just an excuse to further the weaponization of space. They're not even thinking the meteors or the asteroid's going to hit us in 2029, just that they have to be able to be ready for it. So, no, but the odds of the asteroid coming, being named after the Satan of Akhenaten, who the clone of our president just might well be, is too much for me. You see?
Well, we've got 10 minutes left. In that 10 minutes, I mean, what are your predictions? You know, you've given us these predictions, which are pretty dire and depressing, really. Yeah. What, I mean, this war, what kind of form will it take?
Well, this war is going to be very strange because they now have godlike powers. When they started CERN, now realize CERN's logo is 666 with a hyperdimensional portal. That is their logo. They have Shiva, the god of destruction, sitting out front. They tried to create a black hole in Switzerland, you know, to find the God particle. Well, in order to understand what this God particle was, they had to...
Which is the Higgs boson, isn't it?
Exactly. And they had to create a new system, a new internet system to understand the technology or the knowledge that they received from busting into the other dimension. Mm-hmm. And they called this the grid. Now, the grid is 200,000 computers set up on direct fiber optic lines. And so now it is the ultimate supercomputer and is absolutely capable of generating holograms. Now, this is admitted on the grid's website, on CERN's website. That is one of the potentials of the grid. Generating holograms, generating simulated worlds so that they could see what would happen if they did this before they actually do it. Things of this nature. Now, Elvis danced with Celine Dion on American Idol as a hologram. So now we know. Okay, so now we've got that portion. Then you've got your HARP facility, which is able to cause earthquakes, floods, weather manipulations. It's basically a solar flare from the ground. And so then it manipulates the ionosphere and heats, and then they can cause Earth-like or God-like problems. You know, people will think it's a major storm or an earthquake or whatever, but they're actually manipulating this. Many people are seeing and feeling the effects of the chemtrails. These have been very heavy since I've been in England, and definitely I've been feeling the aches and bones. Now, one thing's curious about that is that it causes flu-like symptoms. The two ingredients reported in chemtrails is barium and aluminum. Now, the barium actually makes you show up on an X-band radar, and that was shipped out of Texas right before Katrina hit. Everybody forgot about the X-band radar, and it went up to Alaska to sit next to the HARP facility. So now in the chemtrails, you have aluminum and barium. HARP's a radio transmitter, so the aluminum, you're an antenna, and the barium is a frequency watch radar that can see barium. So now we are tracked and manipulated by the systems in Alaska. So what we're looking at now is a form of war that we've never seen, with pulse weapons, space-based lasers. Who remembers when Russia put the giant mirror up in space to radiate the solar waves back onto Earth? It was going to have the luminescence of 10 moons, and no one said a thing. For 3 days they tried to get the fan to open, and they couldn't do it, and they said it burned up in the atmosphere. I'm not so certain. You know, that thing could just be waiting up there to be GoldenEye. There are many forms of war that they are going to use that are going to appear as extraterrestrial, that are going to appear as godlike forces. It's going to appear to be the end of the world. Yeah.
Well, I've got to say that, you know, that's pretty depressing stuff. I mean, come on, I'd like to end on a bit of hope.
Okay.
Where's the hope in the last 7 minutes?
The entire story that I've told you has come to me in miraculous means. I've been left and guided, and my life has seemed to be guided forth by miraculous measures. The right thing just happens at the right time. And what I've discovered is that we are all miraculous. We are all angels. We are all beings that are able to heighten the vibration of planet Earth, heighten and change everything we can. But we're controlled by these sorcerers and their spells. So if you look at a dollar bill, that is a magic spell. You go to any magic grimoire, you'll see a dollar bill in there. It's a typical spell. It's not unusual. So they have usurped our divine nature, and we have given our free will consent. And so now through ideas like Freeman on the land and ideas like money is debt, we're starting to recognize the spells. And we're starting to say, wait a minute, you know, this stuff doesn't make any sense. If you don't speak legalese, you're not going to make it in the courtroom. If you don't understand baking, you're never going to know why an insurance company goes broke. And they don't pay anybody. How do they go broke? So we're starting to realize the spells that are controlling us. And once we release ourselves from these, then we become divine. And we really will start to follow a miraculous path that will guide us out of this whole mess.
Another dimension.
And that's very
or
possible,
another density.
Too. That is a very possible 2012 scenario.
But then, whoa, yeah, you say 2012, but this is 2009.
Yeah, I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about a density shift. That's a potential for 2012. The light frequency is going to alter as we enter the new great year. But what I'm talking about is just a mental shift in our reason for being. Our reason for being is all messed up.
But in the meantime, if we're going to have to wait for 2012 to enter this new density or this new dimension, and we're going to have 3 years of war,